Hey Jim, how are you?
Oh, Tori.
Let's see, gallery. Hi Marty, how are you? Marty, would you be willing to talk about what you had emailed me about this morning? You're muted. You're muted.
You mean about Christchurch?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Thank you. Um,
I'm wondering if that's happening at Trinity as well.
um, I think that's a really good question.
I know that Jay had permitted people to be there in the
Yep.
past.
I just wanted to alert folks. I just got a message from from Walter, the church, and they're asking me to meet with them this afternoon. So, see where it goes.
Okay.
Sorry.
So it's a little after 11:30. Do you want to give it a few minutes and see who else turns up or get started?
Well, maybe it's best to wait a few minutes.
Yep.
I'd say wait till 11:35.
Yeah.
That'd be 3 more minutes.
Yep.
I've got to get off for a minute. I'll stay active though.
Tori, it's Sophie. I'm here.
Yeah.
Had
Hi. See.
email
Yeah.
problems, but I'm here.
Okay. This is funny. We have three people with faces and three tiles with names, but I'm glad that you're here.
I don't know why I can't get into my email. So I'm on my phone for now, unless I figure this out.
Okay, what will be different when you get into your email?
I can be on my laptop instead of on my phone.
Okay.
But it doesn't matter, and I can take minutes today.
But thanks. But if you can't get, do you want to, you can get into the meeting through the city website. Do you know how to do that?
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, maybe I'll see if I can do that, but I'll stay on the phone for now.
Stay on the phone, but see if you can get in through the website.
Okay, good thinking.
Okay.
Okay.
And you just go to agendas and minutes, and then it's the third, once you're in the correct meeting, then click on, I think it's meeting files or something like that. And that should bring you to the agenda in the Zoom link.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, I'm going to suggest that we get started. And we do not, 1, 2, 3, 4, we're one person short of a quorum. So until a sixth person comes, we're not going to be making decisions about things, but we can certainly have a conversation about the things that have been happening. Okay, we've got 6 people. We have a quorum. I take it back. So let's just start with introductions. We have a minute taker, which is Sophie, and I'm going to remind people that it will be helpful if people can, if we can rotate taking minutes, so it doesn't end up being the same person each time. And I'm going to make the wildly optimistic suggestion that in doing introductions, if you can say your name, where you're from, and if there's something that you're hopeful about now, in something that we're working toward, that you're feeling hopeful about, you could say that. If that sounds so optimistic to everybody that it's impossible, then feel free to say so. But and I'm Tori Rodine. I'm one of the co-chairs of the committee. I live in Montpelier. And one thing I'm feeling hopeful about is it feels to me like there are, despite a pretty desperate situation, that there are more and more people working together, trying to move things forward. Marty, you want to go next?
Marty Roberts, member of the committee. And I would say sort of the same thing. We keep trying. We don't give up. We keep moving forward and pressing on.
Bev?
I'm Bev Allen. I'm a resident of Montpelier and a member of the task force. And I'm hopeful that we can find a safe and warm place for every single person who is unsheltered in Montpelier anyways.
Yeah, thank you. And thanks for helping make that happen, helping move things in that direction.
Thank you.
Sophie, are you out there?
Yes, I am. Sophie Lewis, I'm Montpelier resident, member of the task force. I'm hopeful that those of us who are in this room are continuing to work on this. And as Marty said, like we just keep pushing forward. I'm not hopeful about the way we are being supported. That much I'll say. But we're great. We rock.
Stan, you're here. You want to go next?
You sent me the invite and I showed
Yes.
up.
Yeah, I'm glad. Yeah.
Stan Brinkerhoff, not a committee member or a task force member. Live in Montpelier, been here for a number of years. Supported neighbors of all kinds, be it flooding or unhoused or the hungry or just those in need of a gallon of milk at night. I think there's a lot to look around at a very high level nationally, certainly locally, and even in Montpelier. And I think there are a lot of really good things happening. I think it's really inspirational to see what happens at the churches with the lunch program. And while those are meeting basic needs, I think there's a lot of people who care here and a lot of energy around caring. And I think trying to understand where that is and how it can be channeled is a huge opportunity.
Thanks. Thank you. Seth, are you back? Nolan, can you introduce yourself, please?
My name is Nolan Carver. I'm on this homelessness committee, and obviously I'm from Montpelier, and I'm hopeful that a homeless female I met can access her medications, which have been removed from Confluence Park recently and are now stored apparently at the Elks Club.
Wow.
Mm.
Jim?
Jim Sheridan, City Councilor. I'm part of the subcommittee of three of us who are looking at totally a reorganization of how the city is going to confront this issue. Basically, we're doing a lot of research on partners and funding and how we want to reorganize everything that works in this way.
Thank you. So we've got, okay, we've got an agenda. I believe that we have a quorum. This is based on Zach is actually still here somewhere. So I want to see, are there things people want to add to the agenda?
Zach is
Things we wanna check
back,
off? Zach is
and
back. Good, thank you.
Zach will introduce himself really
Thank you.
quickly here. Zach is a member of this task force and co-chair currently, and I am currently active in various street outreach activities and other peer support community activities. Thank you.
Thank you. So I want to check in about the agenda. Are there things people want to add to the agenda? Things that you want to remove from the agenda or that you want to reorganize? Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
I so move.
Okay. Second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Anybody opposed? Okay. And Sophie's taking the minutes. I don't have the minutes from the last meeting and have not sent them out. So I don't think that we're going to be reviewing and approving the minutes today. Public comment?
I looked briefly, Tori, before coming to this meeting, and it appeared as though the last few minutes hadn't been posted either for the last couple of meetings.
Okay, let me check with Evelyn and see what's going on with that. Thank you. Okay. So in some order, I think it would be helpful to have an update about current events. At the time that I wrote the agenda, that was just reporting back on the city council meeting in terms of the police request for a contract with Washington County Mental Health and the request that the task force work on updating the encampment policy. In the meantime, there were some events that happened on Friday that I think it would be good for everybody to be updated about what is known about what actually happened. And Marty has some observations from Christchurch to share as well. So is there somebody who, somebody or some buddies who can give an update about what happened Friday?
This is Zach. My understanding of what happened on Friday is around early in the morning. Montpelier Police with their Montpelier City with their contractor to clean up the park went out, and they ended up getting folks out of the park, but they issued 2 trespass orders, from what I understand. Their intention is to reopen the park as soon as they clean it up, and they will be stepping up efforts to make sure the park is being used consistent with the encampment policy. And that's the short summary of it. These folks moved temporarily over to Capitol Plaza parking lot and thereafter over to Christchurch. And that's what I have for you.
Thank you.
I should note that outreach staff received this notification at around noon, which was hours after the fact. Thank you.
Yep. Thanks. Bev?
Yeah, so nothing went to storage. The police showed up in the very, very early morning hours a Friday and started removing stuff before people were there. People woke up. Some people had some things, some carts stashed kind of in the trees. All that got taken and thrown away. So a lot of folks lost a lot of things. And right, like Zach said, he heard about it at noon. I heard about it, I don't know, sometime in the morning, but it already happened.
Thank you.
That's what I know.
Marty?
Well, I just would say that right now, and I guess all week, although I just encountered it yesterday, people have been hanging out, sleeping, hanging out in the parking lot behind Christ Church. I think they go there because people are used to being around there because the lunches were there for 2 years every day. And so a lot of people are familiar. There are tons of stuff there. There are garbage bags full, there are suitcases, there are piles. And it's, of course, not very safe and it's getting rained on. And someone comes to let them in to use the bathrooms twice a day, which, I mean, that's helpful, but one might want to use the bathroom more than twice a day. And it's it's not any permanent thing. People don't know what to do. Um, uh, I think there's some problems with drinking, although I didn't see anything like that yesterday. So I guess that's all I know to say about it. I think people
Yes,
feel
yeah,
somewhat safe because they're used to being there.
yeah. Okay. Stan?
The term confluence park sometimes is used to describe a small plot of triangular land between the bike path and the water. Other folks kind of expand it to be the general area on both sides of the river, maybe inclusive of the Green Mountain Power transformer pad and such. Zach, when you say folks are trespassed, are you saying from the triangular park itself? Or I know that there was 3 tents that were on the.
I'm sorry, I'm unclear on where they were trespassed because it wasn't clear. The police indicated, or through Kelly or whoever sent the message, indicated that 2 trespass orders had been issued, and I thought it was for the park, but I also wondered if maybe it was for Capitol Plaza.
Okay.
They were not clear on that part.
My general observation was that people were not camping in the triangular park itself. I had observed tents at the Green Mountain Power kind of property, and was just curious. The trespass orders were based on that presence, but
Bev, do you want to, your face is saying that you're saying something, but
I didn't say this before, but I do street outreach for a Good Samaritan Haven. 2 trespass orders. Basically, it was like if you don't move now, then you're gonna get a no trespass order, and the no trespass orders were for Confluence Park.
Jim, I
And
wonder, yeah,
go ahead.
sorry, Zach, no, go on, Zach.
Yeah, just be brief. I'm just going to say that raises I won't get into it right now, but that raised some concern with me around public land, and we issue trespass orders on public land. But that's just my immediate reaction to that. Without a further analysis.
Jim, I want to ask if you want to respond to some of this, given that City Council approved some changes to the encampment policy on Wednesday, because what I think I'm hearing is that there are things that happened on Friday that were not actually in keeping even with the amended encampment policy. But I'm curious about what your observations are as somebody who was part of approving that policy.
First of all, the 2 people were in the confluence part. They refused to leave. They were asked to leave. They were trespassed when they refused to leave.
Mhm.
That's what I know about that. It was basically done as a safety. Basically, now Kelly was the one Kelly was with them at 5:30.
Mhm.
They invited me, but I don't get up till 5, and with spinal diseases, I need an hour, hour and a half to loosen my body up before I can go anywhere, so I could not be there. I didn't want to get up at 4 to try to be there, so basically it was done really not as part of the encampment policy. It was done to clean the area which was deemed a public safety hazard. Needles, broken glass, feces, stuff like that. So it's a public spot. It's our duty to keep these public spots, clean for the people that want to use them, not just the unhoused, but citizens. And so it was done on a safety cleanup thing. We're gonna know a lot more. On Wednesday, we're gonna decide what directions we're gonna go in. We've come up with a number of directions on the committee. And but we can't do anything on our own. We need to present all these things to the city council and see where the council as a whole wants us to go. So everything's up in the air right now until Wednesday.
This is Zach. I just wanted to add a additional reflection that I had over the weekend. Jim, I echo what you said. I wondered if it was, it was done out of the safety. I get that, and that they initially went in to clean it up, and then discovered that it wasn't, safe, and that's when that occurred. Um, and I echo my concern about trespassing. I know it was their only choice, but I worry about it, literally, because I often wonder if they came back and they got, the prosecution piece and all that jazz. You know, I always wonder about that because it is a public spot. I know safety was a concern. Safety has been a concern for months out there. And so, it's not just one thing. And I appreciate that we'll learn more on Wednesday. Thank you.
The concern or a concern that I want to raise with regard to, and this is based on an assumption that sounds like it may be incorrect, that this relates in some way to the encampment policy. The policy, as I recall it, calls for the people who support unhoused people to be called in if encampments are cleared. And what I'm hearing right now is that the street outreach workers didn't hear that this was even going to happen until noon on Friday. I spoke yesterday with the deputy director at Good Sam about something else, and that person indicated that they didn't know about it at all. And I know Bev, just let me finish the sentence and then you can have the mic. And my concern is that it sounds like what happened to the actual humans involved is that now they're living down by Christchurch, and that nothing that should have been put in place was put in place so that supporters and helpers could have been there or could have come at the time and helped them get to other shelter, if in fact there were other shelter, which I think we all know that there isn't. If it wasn't considered a clearing of an encampment, then this is maybe irrelevant because the encampment policy doesn't come into, then may
I
not
don't
be
think it
irrelevant.
does, Tori. I think it was a total public safety concern. It was really nothing to do with encampment. It was Kelly and the police made a decision to clean it up. Which a lot of people feel it needed. So, and actually they're going to be taking soil out of there. That's why they're still gates there because they want to come in and remove soil that they feel is contaminated and bring in new soil and stuff.
Yep.
So, I mean, it's, these things take a little time, but people can't be in there when they're, it's all up to the contractor when he can get in there, and we can't have people in there saying they're not going to leave when they want to go in taking soil.
So now those people are sitting outside the church in the rain or whatever. Bev?
I think no comment. Oh, no, I have a comment. And what I was gonna say, I'll just say it anyways, is that, there was no notice posted. And I understand that there's this thing, if it's not an encampment, there doesn't need to be a notice, but the police are there like several times a day. And I'm sure they did notice that people were kind of stashing their stuff there. And people would have gotten their things out if they had any idea that that area was going to be cleaned out. So, yeah, I find the way that the city conducted that was extremely suspect. And Good Sam didn't know about it. Zach didn't know about it. Nobody knew about it. But anyways, so that's just
So noted. So noted.
okay.
Do we want to communicate as a task force with whether with Kelly's office, with the city, with city council, with anybody about the concerns that have been named here, in terms of notice, in terms of support, in terms of what happened to people's stuff, in terms of who's responsible for supporting people at Christ Church? Do we want to take any? Do people want to take any action on this, or consider any action, or do we not?
Well, I think we should at least make a statement.
Yeah.
How about, okay, so Marty feels.
I agree with that too. We need to say something about that because, I mean, these are people's belongings.
Right.
They were in shopping carts, and then they just took the shopping carts and just threw all of the contents in the dump. So,
Jim, is that accurate? I mean, the encampment policy. I don't know otherwise, but the encampment policy, and I mean, Burlington was sued over this.
I don't know if that's what they did with the stuff. I wasn't there. I saw a big pile when I went down on Saturday. I saw a big pile up by the church, a big pile. So I don't know what got thrown out, what didn't. It might have depended on what they saw in the carts. I mean, if there were needles in there, then that would have been thrown out. I don't know.
Okay, so we're hearing right now, Bev, first of all, I'm not sure that you were done speaking and I think you were interrupted. Secondly, what I think we're hearing is a report from somebody who, if I understood correctly, was there and saw this happening. And then two people who were not there, wondering, did it really happen that way? But Bev, did I misunderstand that you were actually there?
yes, I wasn't actually there.
Okay, sorry.
I
Okay.
spoke with people. That's the thing.
Yeah,
Like, I'm passing on the report that I got from the
Right.
folks that
Okay.
things were there.
Yeah. Okay. So who, is there anybody, so we have a couple of people who think, yes, we should write something, say something. Is there anybody who feels we should, who strongly opposes doing that? Is there anybody who is willing to draft a statement or a letter of concern?
I'm willing to help. I don't feel like I
Okay.
know the facts very well, but
Okay. So Bev, so it looks like Bev and Marty are volunteering to draft it. Do you want to do that? I don't know if you're like super fast writers. Do you want to do that right now while we're all sitting here and we can approve it or not? Or do you want to do it over the next couple of days and we'll figure out some way to circulate it to people? what you want to do.
I am definitely not a super fast typer.
Okay.
But we could talk about what we want to say.
Yeah,
Mhm.
great. Would you be willing to, can you hold that part of the conversation right now?
Okay.
Either you or Marty, just in, see, invite people to let you know what they want to say and also who it should go to.
Okay. So we're drafting a statement to the city that brings into question the method at which the city did the removal. Is that where we're going?
People?
I mean,
Yeah.
I'll just throw in my little 2 cents. We've got a counselor here. Obviously, Jim is here, and it sounds like, from my experience, that this has been standard protocol, that they see some feces, they see some syringes, um, you know, and then they just go in. Uh, so I'm not entirely surprised by this. I think some of us are profoundly frustrated because I think ultimately what's lingering at the bottom of this conversation are these national trends towards um, um, turning the homeless into sort of like the perfect victims, so we can marginalize them. Um, so if this is going on nationally, and what we're essentially doing is criminalizing homelessness, so we want to get this right as a city, especially as a capital city. And so that's why I was curious when city council was negotiating the nuances of terms for intervention. So I don't have anything to say to the city per se, but I just think the city's walking that tightrope that they have to walk. I do think it is their responsibility to mitigate some biohazards, but I don't know if stealing someone's backpack is any kind of justice or responsibility. I think we're coming to terms and building vocabularies for new concepts that previously we've never spoken about, and I think we're all too kind of timid to kind of say what's really going on, because it is a humanitarian issue, and it almost seems like we lost our humanity in dealing with the issue. So that's my 2 cents.
Thank you.
Zach, the thing I can see that would have been standard protocol, because we worked with the city for years. The standard protocol generally was the street outreach was given a notice of these cleanings, and we were offered the ability to go out.
Yep.
We could, if we were available, we would have gone out. How would that have changed it? It's possible that we could have had an organized effort and got them to depart. I don't know the safety factors that jumped everybody into a 5:30 in the morning frenzy, but I did note at the city council meeting some tension that's continuing, and it continued through the weekend through different means. I have to say, it's not the fact that they had to do that. I fully understand that. I
Right.
get that, and I understand the contractor, Jim. But I also know that you can do this with, I think you can do this with 24 hours notice. I don't
Mhm.
think it would have helped. And I guess it'll be feedback for future if the city chooses to work collaboratively with the network that they have, including the idea of, utilizing the Washington County counterparts. I I don't get that because I haven't heard of any other personnel on scene other than Kelly
Mhm.
and the police. Or maybe there's some other people out there, but there should have been some more help. And I don't know, this is why I miss staff, because we usually had Kelly or somebody in here. They usually give us a rationale. It might
Mhm.
be that there was an emergency and they didn't want to wait, and that's fine. But in future, if the city is serious about working with its partners, notify us. Thank you.
Okay. So it sounds like what we've got so far, for a communication with the city is, that everybody understands why cleaning the site, um, may have been needed. Um, the concerns are that relevant community partners who could have been of support and could have helped the situation in a way that was respectful to the people who were affected weren't notified, consequently weren't there because they didn't know about it. Um, and also that we have, also that there's a concern about what has happened to people's stuff. People are saying that stuff was taken and it was thrown out. It was not stored, but the possessions of people who don't have very much to begin with were disposed of. And in the meantime, people are, sitting outside a local church, because they don't actually have a place to go. And it sounds like no arrangements were made to help them go to a different place or identify a different place to go. Is that accurate? Is that kind of what people are hearing? Or
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah. Also, there is no other place to go.
yeah, right. That's the key point with all of this.
So another part of this is that they could have let the folks know there, and then the folks could
They
have
didn't get
called
noticed. That's right.
us.
Okay, yeah,
And that
yeah.
likely would have happened
Okay,
had they known.
okay. So
Yeah.
the encampment policy basically prescribes that notice be given, and whether or not this relates to the encampment policy, there was no notice, and so people weren't able to make a different plan. Jim?
I don't disagree with anything any of you are saying. And I will keep this in mind when we do the reorganization bit. I can tell you that if those of you who are at the meeting heard me say a couple of places that I wondered if we could say that that was okay to go to. Since then, I've gotten legal opinions on what our duties are. I mean, if you remember, it was pretty much shut down what I said when Ben said, his statement of, well, I'm appreciate the sentiment, but I don't think we have the money to supply what we have to for when we designate an area. Well, so I couldn't respond to that because I don't know the law. So I had our two lawyers confer to tell me how I can answer that next time. We actually do not, if we designate a spot, we actually are not liable or under law to provide anything. So we could have said that they could go there despite what Ben said. He didn't know what he was talking about. So now I have legal. I didn't have it at the meeting, so I really couldn't respond. But now, if I was to go back in time with the knowledge I have now, I would have said, we don't have to supply anything, Ben.
Right.
So why are you making that statement? Well, I know now. Now, it's not that we would do that. Why I suggested, first of all, at the ball field was one, having played ball there many years, I know there's a drinking fountain there. I know there's one portalet there. We could have easily brought another one or two. We could have also got a dumpster there. Okay, those are things that are not a big expense that we can do. And which I also, and maybe you heard me say this, and I'm really concerned about this, and it's a real possibility. I'm concerned that we're pushing them into the deep woods where
Mhm.
it's already
Right.
been known that they have fires there. Alan Goldman's seen them on his property where they've encamped and left where you could see there was a burn fire. I'm really concerned with the dry spell we're in. Even though we've had a little rain, it's still very dry out there. I know by my own property that if a major fire ever starts, like in Hubbard Park or on Alan Goldman's land or the National Life Woods around me, we do not have the equipment or people to fight it. And if Hubbard Park is burned down, it's not going to come back in any of our lifetimes.
Yep.
And so it's a concern, not just because that might burn down, but every house along that area is going to have to be evacuated. We don't even have a place for them to go.
Yeah.
So that's why I suggested the ballpark, because there's a river right there. There's
Yep.
not a lot of woods around there. It's you can get to it very shortly on the bike path from there to come into town on a flat bit to go into town. It's got a lot of open area and some shaded area. So to me, it just seemed like, and so I've researched about, and now I know I can say, even if we don't designate it as a spot, if we have the police say when they're moving people, if you go to this spot, we won't move you. I'm
Mhm.
trying to get some stability so that they don't have to be constantly moved. And so I didn't get anywhere in that meeting because nobody really backed me up, and so a city councilor can't do anything on his own, and I didn't have the wherewithal to argue Ben's point.
Mhm.
Well, I do now.
Okay. So Bev and Marty, do you have,
And so I just told them that.
do the two of you have what you need to draft a communication?
Never did.
Is there more that you want or that you
Okay.
need?
I'm still a little unclear. Okay.
Okay.
So we understand that the city has the right to clean the park. That was necessary. So I'm kind of going back to, is the problem because it's twofold. There's nowhere else to go.
Mhm.
And
I know.
I want to bring up something too, that there actually were people, because like rough sleeping, just like on the ground, like right
Mhm.
around the perimeter
Yep.
of Confluence Park. So technically it was an encampment. I mean,
Mhm.
they weren't there all the time, but sometimes. So it actually
Yep.
was.
So it should have been following the encampment policy,
Yes.
such as it is.
Yes. And not that everything got taken. I mean, people were able to grab some things and quickly move them to the edge of the parking lot right there. But it came as a surprise.
Yeah.
So needing a place to be, which the ball field, okay, that's a decent idea, but accessibility is a major problem.
Yep.
Many people, pretty much everybody has picked up charges that are at Confluence Park and have to go to Barry frequently. So the transit center is like, it's helpful to be close-ish to the transit center. Okay. So the method in which they carried out the cleanup and the fact that there's nowhere else to go. So it's two things.
And that there doesn't seem to have been notice either to the
That's
affected people
included in,
or to community partners who could have helped resolve this.
Well, Good Sam is no longer contracted with the city to be contacted. But again,
Well,
If they'd let the folks know,
Right.
then they would have called us.
real quick, I just have to interject with that because regardless of whether they were or not, somebody should have been contacted.
Right.
No one from the service sector was out there.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
you know, and I think that, yeah, you guys understand what I'm talking about. Y'all
Yeah.
understand. I mean, if even one service provider was out there, it would have been useful. I don't, and so that's what I would say to that. I understand y'all aren't contracted, and they may feel the need not to, but they still contact y'all on
Right.
other stuff. So, and we still got contacted in that letter. But I think the thing I would push in the future, if possible, is if they could provide notification to relevant service providers.
Stan, you've got a hand up.
So just Jim, you had brought up a number of points, and I just wanted to point you to Littleton, New Hampshire, if you haven't seen what they're doing. I don't want to say it's good or it's a model, but I will say if you look at Littleton, New Hampshire, they have permitted camping that exists. It looks like it's kind of a piece of land that's next to like an industrial zone, and I don't know how like I don't know any of the details on it, but they have a permitting process. They have a liability waiver. It addresses all the concerns you're talking about that folks kind of wave their hands at, right? That we can't do this because liability or such. So take a look at that. If you can't find it, I can send you some links. Um, the other, just I guess as a general bystander and neutral party, it seems like there's a lot of observations here that could be beneficial to just talk to Kelly and Eric. I sensed during the council meeting some dismissal of this committee in general, coming in guns blazing and not having all the context might not be entirely helpful. I think they're salient points. I would be really curious. For example, you know, that the encampment policy specifically says they will engage with social service agencies. So what made this different that wasn't ideal or couldn't happen? Why are some people on this call aware of it happening beforehand and some after? Um, so I would encourage before a letter is formed to just find the facts you want to know and make sure we're clear on those and form a letter based on those facts.
What would you guys think of inviting rather than writing? I'm trying to put this out in a way that doesn't have an opinion attached to it because I don't think I have an opinion about it. But what would you think about what if rather than write something we I think the most harmless thing to do, but also harder to organize, would be for 2 or 3 people to go and meet with Kelly and go and meet with Eric Mortensen. Another, probably, more stressful in ways that we may not want, way to have a conversation would be to invite them to meet with us the next time that we meet. Would you prefer to do that rather than have a letter, or would you rather have a letter?
I think we need something on paper that can be seen, and I think we need to do it sooner than our next meeting.
Right. Okay. What do others think? Yeah, Jim?
I would say nothing wrong with a letter. I don't disagree with what you're talking about. That, yes, but again, I do want to state one thing. This was not an encampment thing. This was a safety thing. And that's what I want to separate here. This was not cleaned out because it was an encampment. This was cleaned out because it was deemed a safety issue. So let me just tell you what, see, everybody here has one side, okay? I'm going to tell you about the other sides that we hear about on the council. It's all I've heard about for the last 2 weeks. And I'm at a lot of meetings. I'm on the street, walking around. I've just heard so much. I had a person drive up to my house, park in my driveway, and come in to tell me what he thought about this situation. I've had a number of people ask me to meet them privately because they don't want people to know what they're saying to me, because they risk inflaming some people. So I've just heard a lot about this, and there's a strong sentiment. There's two things that are disturbing to me, especially as a young boy who grew up in this town, went downtown a lot. Nobody thought anything of it, my parents or anything else. And the thing that probably disturbs me that I hear from the community members the most is, I will not allow my kids to go downtown alone. That's disturbing. The other thing is I'm hearing a lot is, I want to sell my home and get out of this city. That's disturbing too. So I'm presenting the other side that I'm hearing. A lot of people want to be compassionate, but their patience is running thin, especially when they get harassed or something. So I'm hearing both sides. I'm trying. Somebody said it here, I think it was Nolan, you're totally right. We're walking a tightrope. I've been 15 years in politics. I have never dealt with a harder thing to deal with.
Okay.
This is totally a tightrope. We're going to get slammed whatever we do, on one side or the other, probably by both sides. So what I'm saying is, we're going to know a lot more on Wednesday. I know on the agenda, we're going to talk about what happened, a couple things that happened in the council agenda. I can tell you where they're kind of at now. But we're going to know a lot more on Wednesday. I don't have a problem with you forming this letter and sending it to us. I do kind of agree with you that, yeah, we should have had some notification. I wouldn't even know who to, Zach, you would have been the only one I would have known to notify. I don't even know who some of the other people are. You say there's 4 of them out there. I don't even know who they all are. Obviously, Bev's probably one. This is only my 3rd meeting with you, so I haven't really been up to speed on all what you do, and I wasn't around before March, obviously. So,
Okay.
Just real quick, and I just wanted to say, Kelly had the email list because she emailed us at around noon on Friday.
you should have done it
So I
first.
think that to me would have been, and I'm not going to beat this dead horse right now. I just won't. I think we can go from here and know what we need to do in the future if that's where we want to go. But I do want to say that an email the day before to everybody would have been appropriate. The only thing I will say just real quick is, upon further reflection, I wondered if they went out there with the intention of cleaning and they found more than they bargained for. For instance, they talk about, in the email that we received, they talked about finding human waste out there. And at that point, it was pretty much cleaned out. That gave me, that was the reflection I had after a tense weekend. Okay. And I said, oh shit, maybe it wasn't, no pun intended. It wasn't what it seems, right? Thank you.
Thank you. Bev?
I think something that I want to add, of course there's human waste out there. There's nowhere to go to the bathroom,
Right.
But also something that, the perspective that I have to remind myself of is that Vermont is part of the United States of America, and homelessness is an epidemic in the United States of America.
Right.
Vermont is not immune, and neither is Montpelier.
Yeah.
So homelessness is not going away just because we're squeezing people into these tiny places and then squeezing them over to another smaller place. Like, it's not going away. And so making people move and throwing out their stuff and like the sort of like back and forth harassment, but all this politics is like, it's like, what are we trying to accomplish here?
Right.
So kind of the larger picture of this is not complicated in many ways. People just need some places to go.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to be squeezed in there. I mean, half the people there don't even like each other, but there's nowhere else to go. Now
Right.
there's
Yeah.
not that place to go anymore. So,
Okay.
I mean, it's like if the city wants to clean up and, it's almost like the other community members who are like, I'm going to sell my house and leave. We're kind of on the same team here. Okay, they
Right.
give them somewhere to go
Right.
so that they're not like sitting right in plain sight because there's nowhere else to go. And even if there were other places to go, some folks would choose to be in plain sight, and that's their right. So,
Okay.
kind of like, I feel like even though they're coming from different directions, we really are wanting the same thing in some ways. Thank you.
Okay, listen, I want to ask the whole group right now. Do we want to continue this conversation, or do we have a motion that Bev and Marty are going to draft a letter or communication on behalf of the task force expressing the range of concerns that have been discussed here today, probably including the fact that even if they're not clearing it because it's an encampment, if it is an encampment, we need to follow the encampment policy. And are we ready to have a motion to ask them to do that and see whether we have a majority voting for that motion? And also, and who do we want to send it to? Is it to Kelly? Is it to the chief of police? Is it to is it to the two of them and city council as a whole?
Send it to Kelly, she'll send it to everybody else.
She didn't the one time when I sent her something to send to everybody else, she didn't, but
Well, I'm probably gonna see her tomorrow
Okay,
and tell her
good.
she's gonna get something and
Okay,
it needs to be shared
Thank you.
with the council and the police and,
okay. Thank you, Jim. Do we have a motion?
Zach will motion.
I'll second
Okay.
that.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, let me see. Sophie, are you voting for or not?
I'm voting for.
Okay. Do you have a way to turn your photograph on?
Not
Yeah,
on this.
okay.
No, not
Yeah,
sorry.
okay. Yeah, okay. Okay, so and I'm not sure about the logistics here. We can ask the two of you to draft it and send it on behalf of the task force if people are comfortable with that. We can ask you to run it by everybody for comments and then send it, or you can forward it to Zach and me and we can send it. What do you want to do? Yeah, Jim?
Let me just say that fine with anything you say, but if you're gonna say that, we think this is an encampment policy, that's not gonna be received well. So I would leave that part out.
Can we
Okay.
say something about, I mean, if it's not an encampment, that shouldn't mean that everything goes out the window in terms of, treating people with respect and having support there. So I get that it's not an encampment, but I think that there still should have been people contacted. And
I totally agree with you, Sophie. I'm just saying, don't put in that, well, we think this might have violated the encamp. It was done for safety reasons. I've said that now the third time.
Right.
So leave that part out or you're
Okay.
just gonna turn people off.
Okay. Jim, I think everybody hears you when you say that and respects that you're saying that. And I'm guessing that probably some people would say, and that's why we have an encampment policy, so that when an encampment is cleared for safety reasons, there are certain things that need to happen. I think people are hearing you when you say it was done for safety reasons. I don't think anybody would argue with that, actually.
I would just say, just stick to the fact that you should have been noticed. I totally agree with that. That
Right.
you should have had people allowed to be there before they started. They should have said, if you're be here at this time, if you're not, we're gonna start without you. I have
Yeah.
no problem with that. It should have been the night before. I agree with it. They can't call you at 4 a.m. and say, hey, we're gonna be out there at 5. That's just not common courtesy, so that's how you should phrase it.
Okay.
And then maybe they shouldn't have handled their stuff the way they did. That's fine, say that. Just, don't go into the, whether it's an encampment thing or safety thing, because
Okay.
the last thing you don't want is them to look at it and go, you know what? We're not even gonna pay attention to this.
Yeah.
I want your message to be received.
Yep.
But you gotta talk to people. I'm trying to give you a way to have it received better.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. We want it to be well received, but we also want it to reflect our authentic belief. And that's why I feel like this is such a profound moment in Montpelier's history, because we're still looking for that right vocabulary, right? And I appreciate that, the Montpelier, the city, has a vested interest in all of our safety. It's just it's the nuances that we have to pay attention to. So no detail goes unchecked in this committee. We feel our beliefs and we state what they are. I think there's room for that too. Thank you. That's all I have to say.
Thanks, Nolan. Okay. What's our practical next step here? Bev and Marty are drafting the communication. Do you want to send it to Kelly? Do you want to send it around to the group? Do you want to send it to me and Zach? What do you want to do?
I can just write it up and send it to everybody on the committee and you guys can comment.
Okay.
I don't really trust it just going to Kelly. I think it's a better idea to send it to
Yeah.
them.
I agree with you. Yeah. I agree with you.
As well.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Okay. So, and when do you want to have done this by? What's your time frame?
Let me see. Okay, so. I can have it done by Friday.
Okay.
I mean, like Friday afternoon.
Yeah. Okay. So we're Wednesday now. So Marty, you and Bev are going to get together in this. You're going to forward it to the group. It sounds like by Friday.
Or if you want to do a draft, Bev, and I'll give you feedback.
Okay.
Perfect. Great.
Awesome.
Okay. Thank you very much. Are people ready to move on to another agenda item? Is there more about this right now, or can we move on? Don't all speak at once. Okay, if you look at the agenda, we have report back on the city council meeting with regard to the police request for a contract with Washington County Mental Health. I don't know if people have feedback about that. We were contacted, or Kelly talked to me about that the Friday before the meeting. And I sent some feedback. But it never came to this group because of the timing. And also the request, Jim, do you want to talk about is council, my understanding from you is that council is requesting that this group review and see.
You froze up there, Tori, so.
Oh, sorry. My understanding from what you said the other day is that city council did decide that they want, after the long discussion of the encampment policy, is that city council is requesting that that this group review and draft an update of the encampment policy. Is that correct?
Actually, we didn't vote on it.
You
That
did.
is
Okay.
something that I talked with Kelly. I mean, I'm the one that's kind of, on the three of us that are dealing with this, I've been assigned, one of the things I've been assigned to is work with this group and try to determine how you fit in. And one of the things I suggested is, well, Kelly suggested that we want you to have a charge, and one of the suggestions
okay.
was that you would have a review of the policy. We would even say, you know, you could take as long as you needed to get it right and then forward it to us and it would be considered that, but none of this, that or the committee bit has been voted on by the council yet.
Okay, okay,
It's my suggestion that you be made a committee. I've talked with Kelly about it, but just like there's suggestions from the other two, we haven't voted on them either. It's all going to be presented to the council on which way do you want us to go. It's quite it's a bunch of different paths. So I can't guarantee how anything's going to play out or how it's going to settle. We'll know a lot more Wednesday when everybody see the other three have not been informed at all what the three of us are doing because we haven't been ready to inform them.
okay. Let's move this to a different agenda item, which is the plan, the work that city council members are doing, planning for a regional meeting, and the question of the future of the task force. It sounds like there's quite a bit of report back from city council and from your subcommittee of city council that would be, you know, you this may or may not be the moment that you want to share it, but I think before we take any action, particularly with regard to the encampment policy, that those are some things that need to happen.
Yeah, where everything stands right now, the other three counselors are in the dark.
Okay, and people don't, I'm not sure everybody in this group even knows what you're talking about when you say there are three city councilors who are working on something. Maybe it would be helpful to talk about what.
It's Adrian Palin and myself. We are working on different ways to how should we set up how the city, you know, coordinates things. Who are the partners we want to bring in? What is the approach we want to take? Now, right after I met with you, Tori, I went and met with Adrian and Palin, and the following night, the three of us had a meeting with Kelly. Adrian and Palin are looking at this situation table. And of course, we also had the meeting with Tess Taylor, who told us kind of how Barry does things, which is quite different than Montpelier, and gave us a lot of info and suggestions. We met with her for a good hour, the three of us. And so I don't know what any of you know about this situation room bit, not room, table, but it's basically a governor's thing that he's trying to get the counties to kind of organize with each other, a separate in a county. Barry's a part, Berlin's a part. Montpelier was invited, from what I understand. It was before my time, and Bill Fraser refused to be a part of it. So we're now looking at maybe we should have been a part of it, because Tess told us, and we're starting to hear, if we want to get any funds, the best shot we have at getting funds is to be a part of this.
The situation table, Jim.
Yeah.
Does everybody know, this feels to me like it's veering into something people may know about or may not know about. Is everything that Jim is talking about familiar to everybody here or not? Because if not, then we ought to take a couple of steps back. Yeah.
I have a question. Okay, the situation table. I've heard those words, but not really understood. I'm learning more about what the situation table means. But apply for funds for what? What would that money go towards?
It would go towards, all right, just for an example, what the council's thinking. We did not agree with the approach that was brought to it. Most of us did not agree with the police chief's approach. We thought it benefited Washington County more than us. I mean, we're gonna give them 50,000 to be on call when we don't know how much we're going to call on them. We wanted to get a full-time boots on the ground person that is under Kelly, part of a kind of like what you're doing, Bev, and you're doing, Zach, but a person that is responsible to Kelly to work as somebody who's out in the community. We need another $50,000 to $60,000 to do that. The reason why the city has very little money to do something, we're 600,000 in deficit, and we got to fix that first. Because a city cannot be in deficit. It cannot owe money like the federal government. So we're trying to deal with that. So the other thing we want to do, we want to get a trailer with showers and bathrooms.
Yep.
And we're talking about possibly putting it at 12 to 16 Main Street, that area there. I can tell you the business community, I sit on their committee they're coming up with a plan of what they want to do. I'm the council liaison. I don't make motions or anything in that. I'm just tying them in with the council. They're totally against that. But that doesn't mean that the council will listen to them. If we feel that's what we want to do, we'll go ahead and do it. But that to me is that's just a common courtesy thing to have showers, because I was told that there are showers at the hub. There are no showers at the hub. There is one shower in the Sunrise House behind it that operates maybe on 15 hours a week. And the reason why I know is I went myself to both places to research what they do, because I couldn't get accurate information from everybody. Said, well, this is what I've heard, but nobody I talked to had been there. So I said, okay, I'm going there myself. They were shocked that a city councilor came in there. They had never seen one. And so I was given a tour of both places. I know now what they do, but they only have one shower. And if there's not a staff person there, which their staff has been cut, they cannot use the shower. They had everything you need: soap, shampoo, feminine hygiene products. They had towels, but it looked like it's hardly ever used, because they have no way of knowing what day they're going to have it open. So how do they tell the people outside when it's open?
Yeah.
So it's not really set up well. So we want to get our own showers and stuff that we can have that they can use, but we don't have the money. This is somewhere we would like to put money. We'd like to put it on a full-time person who's on, in-house with the police under the city manager's direction. Those are two areas, Bev.
Yeah.
We would be open to hear about other things.
Bev, it looked like you had your hand up.
I still can't figure out the hand raising thing. Anyways, yeah, those showers, I went and checked on those too. And they're open actually a total of 6 hours a week, 3 hours on 9 to noon on Tuesday and 9 to noon on Thursday, if there's a staff person. So Jim, I support what you're talking about 1,000%.
There's only one shower there.
Right.
It's not showers, it's shower.
Yeah.
Do you know, Bev, that they couple things they do there? They have a laundry there where they will do your laundry if it's brought in. They will provide a breakfast to anybody that walks in there. They have 2 stoves. They also have a small food pantry. So that's in the Sunrise House. Apparently the actual hub part is nothing but connects you to services. There's really nothing in there. And yet half the time you have to ring a bell, and there's only one person there who told me on the day I went there, I can't really help you if you're here for help. I'm to answer the door. And I said, I'm not here for help.
They must have been really short that day, Jim, but I was going to add the hub also functions as their base for their mobile outreach.
Right.
Who will go out. So
Thank you.
You probably already know this, but if you don't, there's
Thank you, Zach.
there's a pier and there's supposed to be a peer staff there and a clinician available.
Yeah, she told me none of them were there that day. They didn't have the door even unlocked. I had to
Right.
ring the bell. And then she took me around to the Sunrise House and she stayed while I asked my questions there. So nobody was manning it during that time. Or, personing it. Sorry about that.
So what it sounds like there's a lot cooking right now with city council around this issue. And that when you meet on next Wednesday, it may be more clear where this is going, what the next steps are. Is that right? Is that what other people understand?
Yes, I understand that. I did want to add one more thing.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
did
Is this link
contribute
frozen for
feedback.
anybody else?
Whoops, sorry. I did contribute feedback to the District 3 city councilors, the mayor, and Kelly. And then I sent a copy up to Bev Seitler, who's the executive director of Washington County. And, when I sit in that meeting and I heard, oh, we're going to use overtime to do this, I was concerned about the apparatus that we already have out there. And I'm not criticizing anybody. In fact, I value Washington County's contributions. But what y'all need to be aware of so that no one's going all, haywire here is that Washington County is actually looking at, the idea of reaching out and doing other services other than mental health. They're actively looking at this right now. So I think that was interesting. I've talked about it in two different committees I'm on with them, and found this really interesting. So when Bev says she's trying to get Beth Seitler is trying to get a grasp of what the big deal is, why there's this pushback. She's seeing it as she's just trying to help out. So, and we're saying, whoa, wait a minute. We already have the apparatus here. Thank you.
I just want to say that things are freezing up on me for some reason when certain people speak. So I don't know if it's I don't know if it's my connection, even though I'm on Comcast, so it should be a solid connection, but
Mhm. Okay. Are there more questions about what happened at city council? Questions for Jim about where things are going forward with city council? I don't think we're in a position to do anything practical with regard to starting work on the encampment policy if city council hasn't actually voted yet on whether, what their charge to us is and whether they want us to do that. So
I agree. It hopefully will all be known Wednesday.
And Tori, I wondered if I
Yeah.
could have a couple of minutes here, or if that's not a
Yeah,
good time.
totally. Yeah.
I just want to give a quick impact on your current apparatus and the street outreach out there.
Mhm.
We are now going out to provide water service at these spots. Christchurch was one of them, but Trinity was also one of them before Christchurch. But Christchurch also had these spots before, had people there before. And so we're being kind of impacted because it's, you know, we don't really know where people are sometimes. And, but generally speaking, we're trying to provide the support. Like we have a connection directly with the wardens over at Christchurch right now. I'm in direct communication with them. This includes Elizabeth Parker and other folks over there. And they talk to me on when they need me. In fact, they kind of need me after this meeting. So that's what we've been doing. And we're probably one person down right now because they were on vacation. I don't know when they're coming back yet, but so this is the thing.
They said they left on the 11th. They were going to leave on the 11th and be back in 2 weeks.
Okay, thank you. The apparatus is functioning the best we can with what we have. So that's what we did. And, I And I'm appreciative of the locations, including Trinity and Christchurch, for being accommodating. But it's good to have this open line as well. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. Anything else from street outreach?
I don't know if Dawn made it on this call yet.
She was here, and then she said she had to step out. I don't know if Dawn, are you here somewhere? Okay.
I think what's important to understand is the relationships that we've gotten out there. Like when I go out today, I'll be able to communicate with them directly about what the needs are from our perspective to their perspective on their level. You know, and whether they follow those needs is another, thing. But it's good to have those relationships. I think that was a concern raised at City Council. You know, and these relationships take time to cultivate, by the way. And so, like for instance, me and Bev were out there yesterday, just to give you an idea. So I just think relationships are important. Collaboration is another takeaway when I came away from council. And it was the most active council meeting on this matter I'd seen in years. Thanks.
Yeah, nice. Bev, do you want to add anything in terms of street outreach?
I would just kind of like to follow up on what Zach said in the building of relationships, and that takes a little bit of time. But I feel like I move pretty comfortably within that population. And something I try to do, because I think it's really, really important, is that when somebody tells me somebody who's living the experience tells me something, I want to report exactly what that person said, not my interpretation.
Right.
Because that's what we're missing on city council, what we're missing on the task force, is that we're not getting direct testimony. And there are reasons for that. So when I really make an effort to say what I was told by the person experiencing homelessness.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's really it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks. And that's, Jim, I hope you can take that back to City Council, that these are some of the reasons for serious concern.
This is a good meeting for me to be at. I'm appreciating all the input that I'm getting. I'm gonna tell you why, what Zach just said, why that was the best, the first city council meeting that he's seen this kind of action. That was because the three of us, Palin, myself, and Adrian, we've decided to push this issue. Because I don't think if we were pushing it, you would have even had it talked about in that meeting. We've decided to be proactive about this, the three of us. We would like that, would have included 4, but we can't meet when we have 4 because of, we'd have to warn it. So that's why the three of us found common ground, that we all were more concerned than the others about this issue. And we decided that we want to start pushing Kelly on it and pushing the council on it. And they, so we were told by Kelly, well, then do some research for us, have something to come. And that's why that meeting happened. And that's why it's gonna, and I was asked, should it be, Kelly asked me, should we wait a meeting before we do the next one? And I said, no, this is way too serious a problem to wait. So that's why it's going to be on the very next meeting. It was going to be pushed till September. And I said, we can't wait to that. We need to have another meeting immediately. And I told her, she asked me, how should we start it? And I said, first of all, you start something like that by validating the people who spoke in the meeting before, that you heard them and that you listened, and we're building on what we heard. So, you're going to see this, to me, and I think I said it at that meeting, this is the number one issue to me now. I said it when I first got on the council, it was housing, then it was infrastructure, then it was economic development. Well, they're now 3, 4, and 5. Number one is this issue, but very closely aligned with this issue to me is saving the downtown businesses that we still have. Because there's 8 of them ready to leave if they don't see a change. And that's going to make a whole bunch of storefronts empty, which is going to put pressure on the other ones. We're going to have an empty downtown. That to me, this is like 1A, 1B problems. So that's how, and I think it's become that way for the other 2 that I'm working with. So you got 3 counselors that are very serious about this that want to do something. I couldn't do anything about the past because I've only been on since March. So I needed some time to get my arms around the city because I was away for 14 years. So
Yeah,
it takes
yeah.
time for me to build relationships
Yeah.
too. So I
Right.
understand about you building relationships.
It was really a breath of fresh air. It was something that I was the only one on here, but maybe some others, we had pushed for these discussions. And it was years worth of push, Jim. And so, you gotta, I mean, coming out of there was like wonderful in a way because it helps our work. Because all we ask for is a little, pep push a little bit. And we weren't getting that. So thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. We have 5 minutes left. I do want to check in. Bev, I don't know if you can give a report back from Good Sam or whether I'm not sure that Dawn is still here. Maybe she could as well. Is there anything that we should know about that you're in a position to report on? And also, is there any room for people anywhere?
Well, I can't speak for leadership. I can only speak for like my experience.
Right.
And there's also a lot of things I don't know that are going on in Good Sam.
Sure.
And then what was the second thing?
Is there any place for this actually came up because somebody completely unrelated to the task force called me recently trying to figure out where somebody might be able to go, and I realized that I didn't know if there was any room anywhere, although my guess was that there probably was not.
You mean in the
Is there
shelter?
any is there any room in any of the shelters?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
But they can always call for an eligibility screening.
Okay, and do they have to do that during business hours or can they do that at night?
7 to 3 is when that person, I forget the title, she's been doing it a long time, she's great. 7
Intake.
intake, thank you.
Okay. Okay,
And
yeah,
there's nowhere to go outside in Montpelier. If somebody, there's nowhere to go outside.
Yeah, that's what that was my impression.
0 places.
Yeah. Okay, because that's an important thing. I mean, in the context of all of this, just to know, it's not just a matter of telling people they should go somewhere else. There actually is not a somewhere else to go. And Jim, did you want to, with a couple of minutes remaining, do you want to give any kind of update about the meeting that you all are planning in the regional meeting in October, or is it not at that point right now?
I don't really have anything new to report. We're still trying to figure out everybody that should be invited.
Yeah.
It's a lot of people work on this, we're finding out, but they're all kind of working on their own. And we're looking to create something where we're all working together because we're not going to even begin to solve this by working in separate little segments everywhere.
Thank you. Nolan, I did see your hand, which filled the screen. I think you're raising your hand.
Yeah, subconsciously. I just wanted
sorry.
to, what you said just a minute ago, there aren't any places to go in Montpelier. What were you referring to there?
Shelter beds or places to camp.
Okay. I noticed campers in Hubbard Park, and I hear people talk about camping in the Elks Club forest. I feel like there are an abundance of campsites for anyone who's savvy and discreet. I feel like Montpelier has those options at least for people to find those spots still. That's been my experience only. So that's all I have to
Mm.
say.
Yeah, thank you. Bev, I'm not sure if you were wanting to speak again or not.
I just wanted to say, when I said there's nowhere to camp around here, like look around, there's like a million places to camp. There's plenty of places to camp, but Kelly said out loud again that all camping in Montpelier is prohibited. And so that's what I meant by that, safe places.
Just real quick, I like the last minute debate here about this, but I will say that we walk a tight line with camping. It looks like it's a great spot until the city steps in and tells the people they need to move off. And you know, the other thing is Kelly also sent two mixed messages that night. And in the Times Argus, she's stating typically that we'll look the other way if they're in a non-high area. Whatever she said, it's a mixed message. You can say camping's prohibited, but you send a different message, which is why I love Jim's idea of really pushing these bounds about planting place, because I also share Jim's concern during the dry time. What if they light a fire, dude?
Right.
And then we'll be dealing with the big issues. But I just want to say, in the issue of camping, we know there's camping spots, but unfortunately, we take into account whether the city will step in. And then there's no more. Thanks.
Okay, so we're out of time. It sounds like we've got some steps forward in terms of communication. We also have some kind of waiting with bated breath in terms of whether we're going to be working on the encampment policy. I do have an idea I want to share with people. If at some point it's clear that we're working on that, I've got an idea about a structure, but I think we're not there today. What I would really encourage feedback about how the meetings are going, the structure of the meeting, how to improve facilitation and inclusion, and so on and so forth. So if people have thoughts about how to help meetings be productive and not make people tear their hair out, please don't hesitate to share them. And we'll see you the first. Well, we'll be in it sounds like we'll be in contact with Bev and Marty's letter, and we'll see each other on the first Wednesday in September, or maybe next Wednesday at council meeting. And thank you very, very much for your work and participation.
Thank you, everybody. Take care. Be safe. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.